Okay. Hey, so we will start. I think the first order of business was gonna be the introduction of the president of the Anman Qing She, but I don't see Heyo's not here yet. So we will just Geng, do you wanna? I'll mute myself. Do you want to start your presentation? Yeah, go ahead, Geng.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Geng, you
oh,
could introduce yourself, please, for the people
okay.
who don't know you. Yeah.
Oh, so how
Welcome,
many
Geng.
people are there? So
10.
basically there are eight participants. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm gonna find my.
Minutes, minutes. There's a whole bunch of people just joining too.
Okay, so I can start now. And so my name is Gong, and I make silk strings. I began making silk strings in 2013. 2013, yes. No, 2014. And I started my Guqin playing. I learned Guqin from Miss Li Fengyun, the professor of the Tianjin Music Conservatory, Li Fengyun, and I studied with her since 2004. Okay, so this is my introduction. Okay, so today I'm going to so by reading my article, and I will add my commentary to each paragraph. And okay, first I'm very pleased to share an article of mine with all of you. The article was recently written at the invitation of reboot of China Guqin Report. So this is a paper actually. 报纸, will introduce some basic information about six strings for the Guqin. Before I start my article, I'd like to point out one thing, because this article written by me, the intended audience for this article was China domestic Guqin players from China mainland. But this time I'm discussing this article with you, so it's a little different. Well, because I think that the people, I mean the Qin players here, at the New York Qin Society actually plays casually I mean, this is different from the way it is played in China, where many Guqin players are professional musicians. So what I mean being professional Qin players means that having gone through many hours of practice every day, developing highly skilled finger skills. Additionally, I hope everyone will pay more attention to the details of historical recordings in this online meeting. I'm bringing exclusive old recordings that are much clearer than the Lao Ba Zhang, old 8th Zhang recordings of the Guqin, which will help clarify some issues. I here welcome everyone to discuss it well after reading or listening to the recording. So I'd like to say say something about this recording I got. Well, actually, this recording is from a mysterious customer of mine, and whose name is actually royalty. So what I mean, royalty is like his name is Yu Shan, is some kind of a Qing dynasty the royalty. Well, actually, I don't know if that is true name or false name. I mean, over the 10 years, he sent me about 7 or 8 recordings from the original record. And the way he sent it is just by recording the record by his iPhone, because he has the original record player. He claimed that which is fitted to the record, and that brand is called Baidai. Well, I don't know how to say that in English. The Baidai record, and he also used the Baidai record player. And well, finally, I mean the recording is very clear comparing to the old 8th Zhang, the Lao Ba Zhang, which means that Lao Ba Zhang, that 1956 recording, I think, was very poorly transferred originally from the records to the CD. Okay, so let me start my article. Mm, since founding the Suxian Silk Strings with Miss Suxian in 2014, I've noticed a growing appreciation of silk strings among Guqin players. Over 10 years ago, many of the Qin players and instrument makers I visited rejected silk strings, which is impossible today. And so well, I wrote this. How I wrote this part because I want to say a story. I think that might be 2015. I was in a international academic conference, which is about the Ming Dynasty pipa, and that Ming Dynasty pipa is actually now in the Met Museum in New York. Actually, and that was an international music conference. I mean, people from all parts of the world, I mean, which is related to Chinese music, and they all attended. But well, on that meeting, I mean, basically all the people from the mainland, they were not interested in my strings at all. But all the musicians or the people from or all the experts, I mean, from outside of China mainland, they were super interested in in my strings. And the thing is, the people who was in charge in some who was in charge of the music conservatory and those professors, I mean, they asked me. They already turned silk strings to the metal strings in the 1950s. So now why do we turn it back? So they rejected my silk strings very much. Okay. Okay. The second paragraph. If the body of the musical instrument is the carrier of sound, then the strings must be the heart of the music. An ancient string instrument called the earth zither. Well, the name is actually it's called ground zither. Ground zither was made by digging a pit in the ground and using branches as a framework to suspend the thin bamboo tube or vine to be plucked or struck. This shows that stringed instruments, even without a formal body, still required strings. And the strings drive the vibration of the instrument, and even the smallest change can alter the tone. Well, in the case of the Chinese Guqin, what it said, the qin resonates with silk and the silk resonates with wood. The combination of silk strings and the Guqin has long been deeply intertwined. Compared to the simple mechanical tone steel or nylon strings, good silk strings can produce a sound that is both clear and full, yet warm and smooth, with each note offering subtle nuances. Moreover, when composing music in ancient times, musicians only had silk strings, and they were essential for recreating ancient music. So why were silk strings abandoned by Guqin players for more than half a century? Um, well, I wrote this paragraph is because because the first part is actually the first part was actually a common joke by me and Su Xin. I mean, well, because we visited so many chin makers, and many of the chin makers in mainland China, they claim that all the strings work extremely well on my chin. Whatever the string is, I mean, my chin is the best, and I don't care about which strings that work. So, well, and that's Suchin said this thing to him. Okay, so basically, this is a joke to say that the string is important. Okay, the next paragraph. Before the invention of nylon, the invention of nylon, silkworm thread was mainly used for functional purposes. Mm. Tiangong Kaiwu, which is a Ming Dynasty handbook, records that silkworm silk was used for bowstrings, not the commonly used gut strings. Italian literature mentions that many horse-drawn carriage used silk thread for pulling. Silk thread was also the standard material for binding account books, well, in banks, actually. Well, even French paratroopers used silk thread for their parachute ropes. We may find it hard to imagine that the silk produced by the seemingly fragile silkworm has far superior tensile strength compared to almost all natural fibers in the world. And therefore, in ancient times, the use of silk strings in musical instrument was a necessity as they could withstand high tension. Well, in the famous 1956, so there's a typo here, it should be 1956, Guqin recording, 老八张, the old 8张. Nearly all the recordings are made around the standard pitch, which requires silk strings to have good tensile strength. Okay, so this paragraph actually, so whenever I give a presentation or something, or what I like to say this very often. So my point is that before nylon, silk is actually has functional purposes, which means that before steel wire was invented in I think that should be in 1820, steel wire. And that wire was called piano wire. That was first intended for the for the use of the harpsichord or the for not the harpsichord, forte piano, okay, piano wire. And okay, so before yeah, so before the steel wire or the nylon, I mean silk is what was the strongest material. So I mean, those musical instruments use the silk. Okay, so people might know that in Yunnan area, and some of the Yunnan pipa use the vines from the plant, which is not comparable to silk because silk is so strong. I'd also like to say something about this the silk for binding the account books, because I visited a guy and mentioned about current some current silk strings. Some industrially made silk strings have three different diameter, which is very common. And well, actually, this banker told me that in his storage, in his bank storage, there are many old silk strings, and they were for binding the account books, which matches the information I found in old books from people. And he said that there are three gauges. Okay, the next paragraph. However, well, everything changed with the invention of nylon and advancement in metal metal industry. Since DuPont invented nylon in the 1930s, nylon ropes and steel-wrapped nylon strings have achieved the flexibility and strength that silk strings once had, and far surpassed silk's tensile strength. Nylon ropes were first used for parachutes, and more importantly, the production cost was less than 1% of silk. With the exception of historical music practices that may maintain authenticity, which means the HIP movement, nearly all Western string instruments switched from natural gut strings to nylon or steel wrapped nylon strings. Well, it's actually nylon wrapped steel strings. Sorry about that. Well, after nylon wraps, this should be yeah. Well, after nylon wrapped steel strings for harps were introduced in China, most Guqins also switched to steel wrap to nylon wrapped steel strings. Some records show that by the Republic era, uh, before the new China, the last silk string workshops has closed. Those silk making machines were lost, and there were no successors in the trade. Regardless of whether there were enough customers for silk strings, the high quality raw materials needed for make them had nearly vanished. Textile industries have greatly reduced their demand for silkworm silk, and the primary use of silkworm cocoons was for making fabric or silk quilts, with no demand for high tension applications. So what I mean is that so right now the silk, there are no demand for high tension applications for silk right now, except the strings. Thus, string makers could only use these non-specialized materials to make weak strings. Perhaps we have all heard the precious historical recordings of Mr. Abi. I mean, the erhu player, the two-string, the Chinese famous musical instrument, or the pitch of the two fountains which reflect the moon, 二泉映月, is several notes lower than normal pitch. I think it probably because he a fear of the string breakage or lower the pitch. He lowered the pitch. I think. Similarly, similar situations also occurred in modern recordings from Hong Kong and Taiwan, where musicians insisted on using six strings, but the pitch was much lower than that of 1920s recordings. Well, we have the earliest recordings the earliest recordings of the six strings by Guqin, I think we can find it's 1926 or 1929. I don't remember that. Thus, 50 years ago, six strings became weaker, more prone to breakage, and the craftsmanship was rough. And this was the main reason why they were abandoned by Guqin players. So I wrote this. So I wrote this paragraph because uh, so before the invention of my strings, I mean, most of other strings are like this. I mean, rough and not very tight and easy to break. Okay, so the next paragraph. As a silk string maker myself, I would like to delve further into why most Guqin players prefer steel strings. Well, even among professional players, only a few use Suxian silk strings, while nearly all others use steel strings. That's in the mainland China, okay, not in Hong Kong and Taiwan or the US. Well, initially, I couldn't understand this because the tonal quality of silk is very distinct, and one can easily distinguish between silk and steel. But why don't professional musicians prefer this tactile difference? Professional musicians often mention the term dynamic, which refers to the ability to control and create nuanced tonal layers through countless hours of playing. Well, by this sentence, I'd like to say something about my teacher, Li Fengyun. Li Fengyun prefers the Zhang Chongwei's qin very much. But Zhang Chongwei's qin was not very popular among most of the players. Zhang Chongwei's qin, well, in my opinion, it was like a guitar or something, which was very loud. And Li Fengyun told me that she only cares about dynamic, so she liked that. She likes the loud qin. I mean, with a metal nylon string. A string with the right tension can amplify these small details, allowing the control to be fully expressed. Technique is one of the lifelong pursuits of those musicians, and strings that offer perfect control are ideal. The stability of high tension of silk strings fulfill this need. Uh, Without Suxian silk strings, the weak silk strings would blur or even flatten the musician's superb technique. Well, on the other hand, non-musical listeners who appreciate both texture and dynamics tend to enjoy the sound of silk strings. Referring back to the 1956 Guqin recording, Lao Ba Zhang, did the recording feature both tension and texture? This question is the driving force behind my commitment to creating high-quality historical silk strings. Uh, well, before this article, I said that I encountered many rejections from those professional players. That included my teachers and many professional players.
Oh, I guess Gung froze, huh? Gung, can you hear us?
I couldn't.
Gung, sorry.
Steel strings.
Sorry, we
Oh,
lost you for a minute.
okay.
What did you say for the last 10 seconds or so?
Oh, okay. Uh, so the last 现在行了
Yeah, yeah, you're okay.
So,
现在好了，
okay.
现在好了。
Okay. Uh, okay. So this paragraph is about the first paragraph I wrote in this article is about my rejections of so many famous players, including my teacher. Well, after years of observation after years of acquaintance by my watch, I think I kind of understand them. I mean, for using these nylon red metal strings. Okay, so the next paragraph is that uh, it's another interesting topic I'd like to address. Is whether the instrument influences the music. Uh, well, this paragraph might be better. Well, if you guys read this part, because this is a little complicated. Well, in the Guqin community, it is often said that the musical development from the Sui and Tang dynasties to the late Qing and Republic eras moved from a sound dominant approach to tone dominant one. Well, this sentence was translated by GPT, so actually I like to say in Chinese, 就是before that was 声多韵少, which means that the more notes and less the latencies or stuff, and uh, uh, well, I mean, and to the late Qing and Republic eras, this is 声少韵多, and less notes, more latencies or resonance. Okay, well, I think if this theory is extended to our steel string tradition, well, I think it's kind of still seems valid because we have right now with steel strings we have ultimate very long resonance. Steel strings have more resonance than silk, and upon careful listening, there's a sense of endless community. There's a sense of endless continuity. Okay. However, for sound-sensitive musicians, eliminating excessive muddiness can be achieved by slowing the speed, altering the instrument's body. Okay, this sentence is actually is an inspiration by John. Actually, John mentioned that to me many years ago. I think that is very true. I mean, people who are very acquainted with the nylon wrapped steel strings. I mean, they kind of altering the instrument's body, yeah, slowing the speed or changing fingering techniques. But these adjustments change the speed and the fingerboard technique that have been passed down historically, resulting in a significant transformation. Fewer sounds, more resonance. Uh, because the tone of the steel strings is playing on I don't know this word. Musicians tend to add more vocal-like expression. Well, the other group of musicians who insist on silk strings have not altered the speed, despite the shorter resonance of traditional silk strings. They continue to play at the original speed, tuning the strings to nearly three semitones. Oh, this is not semitones. Three, three notes lower than the historical Guqin recording, producing a lonely, melancholic tone that aligns with the wabi-sabi aesthetic. Well, I wrote this sentence because this reminds me of the many of the Japanese players. These silk strings are often poorly made, with the hand sound more prominent than before, reflecting a modern aesthetic that emphasizes noise. But because I listen to a lot of how to say that noise music, actually, well, I like them very much. That's pretty cool. I mean, this is called experimental noise. I like that very much. I think this. I suspect that this is related. I mean, this type of music, although very different from historical recordings, form its own system. These two musical aesthetics, in my view, were both shaped by the seemingly insignificant component of the string. To truly preserve the clear, full, and mellow sound of ancient Guqin recordings, high quality silk strings are essential. So basically, this paragraph is an advertisement for my previous string. But actually, I make both kind of strings. Well, I end this article with a quote from the Ming Dynasty, 四父木论, clear and resonant, grand and profound, with finite sound hiding infinite meanings. 这句话呢, so this sentence is, well, actually, this sentence is very beautiful when writing in Chinese. Yeah, 四父木论那句话. So what time is it now? Hi, Alan. So
We're
what
we're
time is it
about
now?
we're about at 27 minutes, right? So you've got maybe like
Oh,
15
okay. So,
minutes. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
so this is it. So for anyone
Oh, okay.
who would like to ask questions, yeah.
Any questions for Guq?
Yeah. And you guys can also just send me emails and emails for questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's great to see you, and
Yeah.
your strings are the best, but
Okay. Thank you.
the recordings that I made in the late 90s,
Okay.
my set of
Okay.
6 recordings of
Mm.
Shunqi Mipu,
Mm.
all made with
Mm.
old silk strings. And
Okay.
I've never had any criticism on the sound of those. And it completely escapes me. Unless somebody can really criticize the sound of that, you cannot say that the reason why silk strings were not used was because they had bad quality. They just took like 6 months to break them in. And once you broke them in, it seems to me their sound is fine. I mean, maybe not as good as yours, but certainly good enough that people could enjoy playing with them. And I've never heard anybody acknowledge that. Everybody says, "Oh yeah, they don't. You can't use those old strings because they were just no good."
You're not playing with your A at 440 though. You're tuning down a bit.
Of course, I'm not. A440 is a Western tuning. Why would I use a Western tuning?
Exactly. Okay, thank you. I agree.
No, okay.
So my point really, yes, this is Lawrence.
Is that Lawrence? Yes.
Yes. Early
Yeah.
tuning was set by the emperor, is my understanding, and that tuning could be quite a bit lower than what we play now. Our orchestras tuned their violins to 440 for their A, and everybody tunes to that. But that's not relevant to China in the early days.
Short bit of information. In the Qing dynasty, Huangzhong is set to basically our modern F. But then with the onset of westernization, eventually it was unofficially switched to the Western C. And by the modern ROC, it's basically equivalent to the Western C.
Can you explain that a little bit more clearly? Who said it was F? And where is that written that it was F? And you're talking about the first string as F?
No, I'm talking like this is Uni speaking. So I'm just talking about from the experience of the bell settings.
What's that?
So from like Qing Palace standards.
So that has nothing to do with Qin.
No, it's like court standards about what the dynasty's Huangzhong is. Of course, when people play on their own, they may use a previous dynasty standards or just use something of their own.
I mean, that has what you're saying has nothing to do with Qin, I think.
Some people may follow court standards on when it comes to absolute tuning.
Maybe they do, but what evidence is there for that one way or the other?
There's basically no way except for the handbooks that are available at the time. So I'm thinking like mid-Qing or even late Qing handbooks that may talk about the tuning and settings, usually in the textual chapters.
I would love to be able to quote that on my website, but I've never. Please, can you send me a actual reference?
I'll try to look it up, but things like Yan Lu Lou, as well as like the Qinshu Daquan and stuff, might have some details on how to set those strings. I mean, theoretically, they always explain about Huangzhong and stuff like that.
Right. Okay, one other question. Are you getting an echo when I speak?
Yes.
Not when you're speaking.
Because I'm hearing it. No, now it's gone, I think. We went to Yangzhou. When we went to Yangzhou in the spring. Now Yangzhou, when I went there, I felt like I was going into the camp of the enemy because they're total metal string people. But the response I was getting there was not negative at all. But it wasn't clear to me to what extent they were saying, "Oh yeah, silk strings are really good," or they were saying that because to be polite to me or you, or because they know that that's really the true tradition and they don't want to openly attack it. But I just wonder
because
what reaction there might have been about this after my visit.
well, the thing is, the economics in China is very bad right now. I mean, they rely on the customers. Customers rely on their teachers, and their teachers rely on those professional players. So if the professional players started to using silk strings, so all the people basically will want to use silk strings. This is something I want to do. So, I mean, this is one. So this is my biggest plan this year. Okay. I mean to persuade those professional players to play silk strings.
Great.
Yeah.
My solution to that from where I'm at, which is in southern United States, is I make strings for a lot of other instruments. So that spreads the sensitivity to string playing to a whole host of other instruments.
Okay. Sensitive. Yeah. Well, actually, in China, it's very different from the U.S. I mean, well, I can tell. Well, I can say a story. There's a very good P-pop player, who lives in Long Island. What's her name again? I kind of forget. Okay, she records the P-pop silk string recording, and metal P-pop
就
recording.
是闵惠芬 sister 闵小芬是吧？
啊，
闵小芬
不是
哦
younger
never mind.
younger 那个他okay, so basically she had a job of recording this to the Broadway show. So one of the Broadway show. She
哦，
was
吴
not
蛮啊，
sure.
吴蛮。
No, not one. Okay, she was not sure which one is better. Okay. Then the sound engineer told her, "What? So are you kidding me? Or of course it still sounds better." Okay. The thing is, the professional players
Right.
in China don't know which one is good, which one is better. Okay.
Well, it depends. Maybe the sound picks up something different. So the recordings may make a difference. I'm sorry to interrupt, but also,
It's okay.
when you want to sell, what kind of production do you consider successful? 你要卖多少？就是说，因为成功的时候是做几分？
No, I don't quite understand. I mean,
What
so
kind of
success.
how many silk sets do you
Oh,
to sell
oh,
to be considered
oh.
successful in terms of your standard?
Well, well, the thing is, so what I said just now is that the most important thing is to persuade those professional chin players to use the silk strings. Well, even sell 10 sets. If they use them, I mean, their students will immediately follow them, actually. So this is a very different thing in the United States because in my observation, well, even now, the younger generations in China still don't have independent thinking. And so musicians in China listen to their teachers. So I might probably produce probably 100 sets or something, 100 sets, and then I took it to those very famous chin players, and they will well, they will start falling in love in the silk strings. Because somehow I think their musician career is nothing is not that related to the silk string. Their musician career is about I mean which theater she might be performing at and something like that. Yeah, yeah. Well, I was not very positive in. I mean,
What about
was saying about lead string.
is part of the metal the metal stuff because it's more performance than it used to be, for larger audiences, do you think?
A larger audience. I mean, larger audience. Well, people. There's another issue. I mean, the sound system in the theater of China is mainly is are bad. I mean, there are very small difference between the steel and the silk when performing in China in China theaters. So that's one of the concerns. So basically, I think to promote the silk strings, we just need to talk to those professional players. Yeah.
That means you're laughing at us, we amateurs.
But we amateurs have independent thinking. Okay.
Amateurs can buy my strings.
Well, exactly. I mean, so my customers are, I think 90% of them are amateurs. 90%. Recently, I took my strings to one of those Li Xiangting's student, and he's very talented and he's well educated. And then he finds the beauty of the silk strings. So I find it's a good beginning. So it's very hard for me to.
恭喜.
Yes. And to my knowledge, Wu Man, the very famous pipa player who always performed with Yo-Yo Ma, and is quite famous, and she wrote an article about playing silk pipa, which is so great, and things like that. So I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
She has quite a following and a website.
Um,
Even
mhm,
non-P-pop players follow her.
mhm,
And she played
mhm,
recently here in Washington with a
mhm.
Western string quartet.
Yeah, exactly. Wu Man is very famous in China right now, I think. Mm.
So you may
Yeah,
gain more
but
customers.
right. Yeah. Yes. Right now, I'm making both the silk strings and the harpsichord, so I kind of yeah.
Harpsichord?
Mm.
You're making harpsichord
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
strings? That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
good.
Right, exactly. And well, there will be a very good news because I recently get acquaintance with a guy whose name is Olivier or something. It's a French guy. Okay. He's somehow famous in harpsichord making. I mean, so he said that he will make a harpsichord by well installing my silk strings. So I think which is a very good thing. Yeah.
Can you just say what the
Mm.
thickness of your silk strings are for harpsichord?
It differs from the point oh eight to 2 millimeters.
0.08?
0.08, yes, to 2 millimeters. Yeah. And also, this guy, I mean, this harpsichord maker, he showed me a video of his a gut string harpsichord, which I never found on internet, which is sound beautiful actually. Uh, Very rare in the gut string. He didn't finish it. He just finished half of it. He is asking me to go to his home this summer and I mean do some work with him together. I mean to get a silk harpsichord with him together. So this is my new thing this year. Yeah. So I'm going to Paris on this summer. Yeah. Mm.
So you're making these
Mm.
strings yourself, isn't it? Isn't Xu Xianfang that makes the strings?
Right now it's just myself and my worker. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Wow.
So right now Su Jin is so right now Su Jin is not related. Yeah.
You
Mm.
you have another person working with you.
Oh, right, exactly. Yes. Mm. Yeah, several. So it's very hard. Well, because so every day I was thinking how much money I should give it to him,
Yeah,
Well,
I
how much money I
understand
should give to
that.
my work.
be sure
Yeah.
you leave your address
Mm.
with
Mm.
so that we can order them. At least we amateurs can.
Well,
I look at
well,
this
right.
the Sushin website, and
Uh,
there are no
mm.
prices listed there.
Okay. Right now the price for I mean for teachers is no. I mean how to say that the retail price right now is 400 US dollars per set. Yeah. You know, for teachers is lower. There's some percent off. I mean, I set this rule because I heard that the Japanese strings and all the other six strings they had the same method. I mean, to give a different price to the teachers. Mm. so my current one is 400 400 US dollars, but I have not officially released because right now I'm making one set after one set, which is really slow. So I'm still making new method. I mean, to make the strings, which is to make it faster. I mean, so right now I'm making it very slow. So that's why I didn't advertise on I sell the Suqin strings or something like that. Yeah.
Don't want to be overwhelmed. I understand that.
No,
Lawrence, Wanggang, have you met Lawrence? Do you know?
no,
I think
no.
We've been on these meetings several
Oh,
times.
yeah. I played Lawrence strings in David Badagnani's home actually. I always visited him. I mean, when I was in the U.S., I think I visited him 3 times. Some is,
you went to
and
Cleveland.
then,
You're talking
yeah,
about David Badagnani in
yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah, Cleveland, yes.
We correspond quite a bit. Yeah.
Right, and he sent me a set of the Thailand strings, which is really interesting. Has the orange color, and he said $1 for a set. The price for that.
Can't make them for that.
But that string is very bad. Very bad. Very fragile. Yeah. Oh.
Most
Okay.
of the
So.
strings I'm making are for other instruments. Anyway, I won't go into that. But yeah, there are many other instruments. There are a lot of guitar players who are actually playing silk strings now.
Right. Yes. Yes. I mean, some guitar players asked me to play it to make it for them, but I mean, so right now I only make the Guqin and pipa strings. Yeah. Only Guqin and pipa strings.
A lot of what I do is consultation because they have different instruments at different lengths and they tune them differently. So there's a lot of conversation about what they need for a given instrument. That takes up a great deal of my time.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Would it be the right time to ask John, who has also experience with other makers? Do you care? Would you care to share with us, John, how much the Japanese string sets are that you've been using?
Japanese dress
Yeah,
160.
I can't remember actually right off the head. I'd have to look. I think I wrote down on my website the price.
What? Well, I think it's $200. 200. Yeah, half of my price.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
You're talking Hashimoto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the exchange too.
Yeah. So there are 2 types. One is Hashimoto. The other one has something with bird. The name. Niaoyu.
You are thinking Tobaya.
The
Yeah,
Japanese.
Tobaya. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Tobaya strings. Yeah.
I've only ordered the Hashimoto directly from him. When I visited him, we made this contact and so forth. And I don't really know how you ordered them.
Hashimoto. Well, I don't know who.
I see Marasan Hashimoto in eBay. I've seen them on eBay for sale.
Wow.
And they'll be on some sites that sell Chinese instruments. Hashimoto will be there.
Yeah.
But I really don't use eBay. Can you trust if eBay says they're Hashimoto that they're really going to be Hashimoto?
Well, I wouldn't buy them.
well, eBay has this money back guarantee or something. I don't know.
May I ask you again? At the beginning of your talk, you mentioned that this person, and I couldn't get his name, had re-recorded and to replace the Lao Bajang set. Could you do that? Because John, I think, did not get that information.
Right.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, the link is in the PDF I sent to the emails. I mean, well, it's a YouTube link. I mean, later you can, I mean, copy that link and yeah, and see. The reason why I gave this link is that the sound from that recording is really powerful, which almost made me think that this is kind of a metal nylon strings, which is really powerful. But it is silk string, and it's very good sound quality from. And seems to me like I'm just very near the ancient Guqin he played. So this is a very good recording. Yeah. So
Well,
this is why.
this is about contradictory. You're saying it's so clear that it sounds like metal strings.
Oh no. Okay. So this is very clear and almost it sounds like metal strings. Well, because it's very how to say that it's very loud.
Uh-huh.
It's very loud.
But it still has the richness of the silk string sound.
Yeah, exactly. Has a very good resonance, resonance or something. Yeah, yeah. I suspect that by Yue Ying's recording. I suspect that. So this recording is by recording through the iPhone to a record player, which is much more clear than the Lao Ba Zhang. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Wang Gang. I think
Okay.
we're at time, so I think Peyo, do you want to take over and talk about your recent trip and attending the exhibition? Yeah.
Right, yes.
All right, share.
Thank you,
Yep.
Wang Gan.
Thank you, Wang Gang.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me introduce my trip. I need to share my screen. So, let me see.
Can you turn up the volume?
Okay, sorry. Is that clear now?
Yeah, that's much better. Thanks.
Right. So here to share my screen. Right. So this exhibition, Hidden Gems 30th anniversary exhibition of the QingMing Society's collection, was exhibit from this year January to March 23 at the National Museum of History 国立历史博物馆，它叫千万雅集。And this entire collection is valued at approximately NTD 40 billion, which is about US dollars 1.2 billion. And in this exhibition, all the artworks come from private collectors. I'd like to give an overview of the museum's surrounding environment. This area where the National Museum history is located holds many childhood memories for me because my mom used to walk to nearby, and the museum, this is the former site of the National Central Library, but now it's the National Taiwan Arts Education Center. And this is in a walking distance, and the museum is in the south side of the Taipei Botanical Garden. Both the museum and the former Central Library featured reinforced concrete structures, brick walls, flagstone, and terrazzo flooring, all in a traditional Chinese style. This is my relative, and his father was a renowned Chinese scholar and calligrapher. So we went to see this exhibition together, and agreed that we would each choose our favorite artwork after viewing it. So I will show you what we picked later. So this is the satellite photo. So we can see that the blue roof building is the National Museum of History. And then this is the Botanical Garden. And this is the big lotus pond and a small lotus pond. And so that day we entered from the north entrance and walked through the lotus pond and then headed to the museum. And this is the former National Central Library. So it was a raining day when we went to see the exhibition. So we passed through the botanical garden first. On the right is the painting that caught my attention first in the exhibition because it features a qing. And it was painted by Huang Junbi. And somehow I find it's interesting to see these two images placed together. They shared a similar atmosphere to me. Huang Junbi, born in 1898, died in 1991. After 1949, he moved to Taiwan, becoming part of the trio known as the Three Masters Crossing the Strait, 渡海三家, along with Zhang Daqian and Pu Xingyu. So next to Huang Junbi's painting is Pu Xingyu's monochrome ink landscape. And it's called Scroll of the Former Red Cliffs Rhapsody. 就是前赤壁赋. Sorry for my image. My cell phone wasn't take very good quality of image. So Pu Xingyu his original name was Pu Ru, and Xingyu being his courtesy name. Born in 1896, died in 1963. He received a strictly traditional education, being a member of the ruling imperial elite. His family owned a large collection of artworks, which Pu Xingyu was able to study as he developed his artistic skills.
How large is that painting? So that the writing is 小楷, very
right.
small.
Yes, I will show. This is the whole image of the painting. I think I didn't put the size. Well, from this image, we can see that Pu Xingyu's strokes are very fine. And he used multiple layers of black ink to create rich textures in the water and rocks and trees. He was also an accomplished calligrapher. So that's his very fine, small writing. And he painted this in 1958 when he was 62 years old, and exhibition in Thailand in 1958. No, in 1912. This artwork was sold for $434,000 at New York Sotheby's. So in the same room as the previous artworks I showed, there is a window that overlooks the lotus pond in the botanic garden. And in front of the window is a Taihu stone called 残岩揽月, 残岩揽月, cliff embracing the moon. So now I like to show what I like, one of my favorite. There are so many great artworks in this exhibition, but I cannot show all of them. So I will just quickly share the ones that we like the most. So this one is one of my favorites. The unglazed pottery horse from the Northern Wei dynasty. It reminds me of Northern Wei 龙门20品 the Longmen cave calligraphy style. It's majestic and large and impressing boundless vitality. In contrast to the majestic horse I showed earlier, this piece feels warm and gentle, shaped by a woman's hand, an inkstone carved by a woman, 顾二娘. She used the natural shape of the stone to carve it into a tied bag. It comes with a fine crafted wooden cover featuring an intricate carving of a melon and vine. And I love this kind of inkstone because it's warm and unpretentious in theme, yet uniquely distinctive. So now I'm going to show this very exciting album. Flowering branches, 折枝花卉 by Julian. Julian was from Guangdong province. It is said that these 12 paintings were inspired by the 12 seasons, and they also reflect because Julian has a lot of wives, so it also reflects the personality of each of his different wives and concubines. Next to the flower, there is poem. Poem was written by Julian, composed by Julian, but the calligraphy was done by a person called Cai Xiaoting. So this link has the lyrics, and I grabbed the image on the internet. All the 12 images can be found in these links. These paintings use the technique of 撞水 and 撞粉, created by Julian. The 撞水 and 撞粉, the painting used the technique of 撞水 and 撞粉, and it is speculated that he was influenced by Western watercolor painting, making these methods highly innovative in the context of Chinese painting at the time. The technique involves dipping water onto wet paint on the canvas or adding powder to create natural and harmonious textures, which accentuate the changes in light and dark within the colors of the painting. The 撞水 method expressed the light and dark of the colors, forming varying layers of depth and natural contour lines. And the 撞粉 method, on the other hand, conveys the luster, looseness, and moisture of the color. So I have picked a couple of the images to talk about it. This one depict a daffodil. So I translated, the AI translated, but I checked a little bit to English. It's called The Talented Lady And let me quickly read it. Miss Tian Yi, whose given name was Ling Bo, was known by the title Tian Yi, which came from her mother's dream of the Luo Shen, right, Luo River goddess, before she conceived her. On the night she was born, the room was filled with a fragrant mist. From a young age, he was extraordinarily intelligent and had an exceptional presence. She once wore a robe of sixpenny cloth, white stockings wrapped around her feet, a yellow crown, and green sleeves. She walked gracefully along the water's edge, and those who saw her were often startled, mistaking her for immortal Guyi Xianren.
May I interrupt you? Could you
Yes.
put the painting on while you read it? Because since you're reading the words, we can read the words too, but we're not looking at the painting. Thank
I
you.
know.
Okay.
But I don't know how to do that because I have to look at it and read it. But maybe I won't read it. You can read it yourself
Don't read
later.
it. Yeah. Let's look at the painting.
Right. So let's look at the painting. This is a daffodil, and I think it's interesting. He mentioned that where the dress she was wearing, right? Sixpenny clothes, stocking, wrapping. It's just like this.
But the question is whether his technique, 撞水, etc. Can you see it? Because you are a painter.
I just feel it's the kind of the fading texture of the color, but it's just, to me it's just like similar to watercolor. So I guess that's what the 撞水 about.
Well, he's using the tip to create the edge without 另外一个他不用线条，他就是把笔塌下来，而那个笔尖就变成那个线条。
I see.
Yeah. Is that correct? Oh.
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, when I look at it of course, I haven't seen the original, but he made you looked up that technique, and I'm wondering whether anyone else follows it. But if someone has painted before, they would maybe paint like that.
Right, that's possible, I think. Let's see.
The outlines are in a sepia toned ink.
He doesn't. 他不用. No, he's not using the brush to make outlines as lines. He is using
the brush
is lying down on its side, and the tip, by his skillful control of the 水 颜色, he's getting that
the ink. Right.
So you're saying he's letting the ink pool along the edge.
Well, I'm not sure pool is the right word, but it's very skillful.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
The edge of the painted area can sometimes become intensified as it dries with watercolor. What happens is the pigment goes toward where it's still wet and the dry areas have less pigment. But that looks like it was drawn with the brush. The daffodil there in front of us now, the edges are done with the brush tip, I would say. But some of them, like that blue-green color in the back, maybe that's the pooling effect of wet along the edges as the center dries. I've seen that effect before, especially the one on the left that's kind of in the background of kind of blue-green color. But that's going in. Yes, exactly what I'm talking about. There are different pigments in the watercolor, and they spread at a slightly different rate. I've done that with ink stains with pigments, and the pigments will crawl to the outside edge and leave an edge like that. I can't say for sure that that's the case, but are you following me? The paint dries more quickly in the center there, and it bleeds to the edge. But
Yes.
I don't know.
Bleed is a better word than pool. because
Thank
there's
you.
no
Okay.
pull. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. That is a better word.
Right.
Be that as it may, there's lots of different things happening there, and they're very distinct, very like watercolor painting. I've done a little of it myself.
And also the seals. Yeah, Marilyn, you want to say something?
Oh, is it on paper? 是纸或者纸篆？
是指 yeah, it's
Mhm.
let's see. Color on paper, right? 12 panels framed.
This
Each one
canvas, you would
is
see the canvas texture in the paint.
I think he also had special paper made for him.
maybe.
还不是普通的纸。
Yeah, could be. So the seals read 古泉 ancient spring, and then 隔千里兮共明月 隔千里兮共明月 this one separated by 1,000 miles yet sharing the same bright moon. And then there's collector's seals. And so the next one, this one is orchid. So yeah, I'm not going to read it. The seal is again another Guqin, and then 美人芳草, a beauty among fragrant grass. So Guqin and 美人芳草.
Can I ask you about the seal in the left corner? It's very unusual.
美人芳草.
Yeah.
Yeah,
还不是普通的字体。
right. I don't know who make the seal. Right. It also reflect to the painting. So he did choose his seal to match the painting. Like this one. This one is 秋海棠. 秋海棠 begonia in autumn. And the seal is you can read the lyrics, then you understand why he picked this seal. 无情何必生死事? If one must be heartless, why be born into this world? That's the seal. Because it says the sorrowful woman. It's trying to describing a sorrowful woman. Okay, so I will move on to the next one. So this is another set of painting that's also very exciting by Zheng Wuchang. Zheng Wuchang, born in 1894, died in 1952. Was a prominent figure in modern Chinese painting. And the landscape inspired by Meng Chuang's poems. Meng Chuang refers to the southern Song dynasty poet Wu Wenying, who lived approximately from 1205 to around 1260. So this one was sold for Hong Kong dollar 16 million, something like that.
The 12
Anyway,
leaves
US
册页一套册页。
对一套册页。Also 2、3、4、5、6 also 12 pieces. So let's look at the detail. So I also grabbed the image from the internet, and then I also put the wordings on it. Let me show you this one. 春画载清明过却，青烟冉冉吴宫树，念激情游荡随风，化为清绪。So painted boats set sail, carrying QingMing away, as clear mist lingers among the trees of Wu Palace, thinking of my wandering heart, drifting with the wind, it turns into light, floating willow catkins. And QingMing, we know QingMing refers to the QingMing festival, also known as Chinese Memorial Day, Ancestors' Day. The Clear Brightness Festival or the Pure Brightness Festival. It usually falls between April 4th and April 6th each year. So we are right now at the QingMing Festival Day. And Wu Palace generally refers to the imperial gardens of the Southern Song Dynasty in Lin'an, now part of Hangzhou, Zhejiang, historically Wu territory. Nearby West Lake Xihu, a renowned freshwater lake, has been a tourist attraction since the Tang Dynasty. So this is the painting. And the next one, I also like this one. I think it's very cute. 梅茶临海横鳌背，倩吻在蓬莱云气。And so, because May is like a plum blossom, usually white color, and Cha is wrapped, so I kind of translated like white plum blossoms wrapped crossing the ocean, resting steadily on the back of a legendary sea turtle, gracefully carrying the drifting clouds and mist of Penglai. Penglai is a fabled adobe of immortals. So, maybe let's see a bigger image from here. This is a bigger image. You can see it actually has seagulls here, and then this is like a sea turtle carrying the white wrapped. So that's that.
It's his style is very can you it's hard to see.
Oh, okay.
Compositions. No, I mean I'm saying it's really I can see why you like them. Really
Yeah.
try to depict what is in the poem.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
very fine.
Yes.
And to have so much sea on the horizon and the mountains in the distance, very unusual. 像
Right.
有一点像樊奇, Nanjing painter.
Oh,
At the Qing.
I see. Right. Okay, so next one.
Oh.
Right, this one I think is quite interesting too.
Yeah.
朝寒极暖，极暖，金如镜，料洞天，日月偏长。In the morning chill, the embers of the golden stove flicker faintly. I imagine the celestial realm where the sun and moon linger longer. And I just think, right, matching the poem, and you see like this is the entrance of where the immortal lives, and that's where this is the door, this is where he lives. Yeah, and in the deep of a mountain. So I just like it, like the arrangement of the painting. I think the most interesting is because it matched the poem. Right. So you can feel more about the painting.
It's very specific. 就像桃花源，但是是晚上的
晚上的 right, but this has sun and moon, so
yes. Oh well, sun and yes. But to paint the little door there.
Right.
So the Wuchang is a name signature?
Yes, Wuchang, Zheng Wuchang. His name is Zheng Wuchang, so Wuchang is his name. Right. Was his name. Yeah, some of them using 正武昌, some of them use 武昌正常 also his name 正常, and then courtesy name 武昌. So this one, I like the atmosphere. 清庆树声人定了，池上月照虚舟。己卯十月正午长，时刻海上望平楼. So I think he's painting himself there. The clear sound of the chime rings a few times, and all is quiet. The moon over the pond illuminates the empty boat. Written by Zheng Wuchang, a guest gazing at the bright open window of the flat pavilion by the sea in the 10th month of Ji Mao year, 1939. So that's that. Let's see if we can see a bigger image. That is Qingsheng, this one. Okay, so let's see.
This is the most conventional in a way, although it really gains by having the poetry.
Yeah.
Do you feel the painters, some ancient painters influence like Ying and Wen Zhengming and all very fine painters. 画的
Yeah.
很细，非常
Right. I'm not good at Chinese painting history. But Marilyn, you could guide us more details.
No, well, the fact that you're attracted to these is really nice.
Yeah, it's considered modern Chinese painting, but it still keep the ancient feeling to it.
Yes.
So that's what I like too.
Yeah. And then to have the antique poems from 我不知道这个诗人，但是你说是南宋啊。
吴文英, right.
Yeah.
And it just took phrase from the whole poetry, like some of the poetry. So he just only take like one phrase from the poetry. So that's that. Thank you for watching. I have the links for the YouTube. If you are interested, you can check them out for this
Thank you.
Society collection.
多谢多谢。
Thank you, Peyo. That was great.
Thank
It's
you.
so much fun to see the paintings. Okay. So let's see. Okay. So we've got membership dues and a short update from Mark.
Can I ask you a question here?
Go ahead.
I thought about this before, but I don't know why. Is there any, in Western painting, is there any tradition of writing poems in the paintings? And if not, why not?
I would say that there are some modern painters whose whole paintings are words, and they will have some kind of story background to them. I can't think of our artist's name right offhand, but most people feel that the English language or Western style characters don't have the flow that Chinese has, so they're not quite as well integrated into a painting as Chinese characters.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's really the barrier.
Well, in Western painting of the period, I'm thinking like 18th, 19th, 20th century, aside from like botanical records, from what I remember, they're not really into the whole description thing besides illustrations.
No, William Blake, excuse me. I'm trying to get.
William Blake is a great example of 1800s, yeah.
Yes, William Blake.
He was Chinese?
No.
No, he's Western. famous Englishman.
Yeah, I know.
William Blake.
Maybe in a past life he was Chinese.
I don't see
I'd say that's very
poetry
likely.
though. I don't see he put poetry.
William
on.
Blake incorporated poetry into his basically watercolor paintings.
Oh, okay. I see
And
something.
they
Let
were
me share
formed
my
in
screen.
books.
See if you
Songs
can see.
of Innocence and Experience would be a good one to look at.
Can you see this, William Blake? So,
Oh, that's not so
Right
good.
there.
Well,
mm,
yeah, as Lawrence said, his that's it. It's better to show them individually. Yes.
mm.
Those are all so familiar to me that I, yeah.
Yes. Well,
The
they're
Book of
often
Albion.
they're often shown or I remember looking at these in grade school because the poetry was intelligible to us. It's written in very understandable poetry.
Mm.
And he was so spontaneous in the way he presented them. And humorous, yeah.
Mm. Okay, so that's William Blake.
Thanks
It's a
for
really good
finding those.
example. Yes, that's a good example.
Interesting. What do you think,
Mark?
John?
Go ahead, Mark.
I just went over to my computer and did a search for William Blake Chinese influence.
Mm-mm.
And I didn't look at very carefully, but it did. There was some mention of Dao De Jing, as though he had some familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Peo,
must feel like
how about your writing? 你的背景是你的字吗？
Oh, yeah. But I did that for the Chinese New Year.
嗯
Mm.
You first showed the 北魏 horse.
Right.
You know that what's unusual about it? If you bring it back,
Okay, let's see. Let me share.
and it's nice that you compared it to calligraphy. You know that this I don't know how much repair is on that horse, but his saddle, do you see the way the saddle flares out?
Mm-hmm.
That's very
Yeah.
unusual. Yeah.
Right.
That probably made you think of the calligraphy.
Yes, I think the lines, yeah, like this. Right.
Also, its neck, the curve of the neck is so pronounced. It's very graceful, a horse. Yet it's very refined. The features of the head and the ears, and the legs, this contrast of the broad and the fine, just like the brushstrokes.
I wonder when this was excavated, because it would be really amazing for this piece to remain intact.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, you were talking about the repairs. Who knows how much repair, right? But it's for the condition it's in, it's actually beautiful, right? You can't see any well, at least from the pictures here.
It looks like
Looks like
a bronze. I know it's probably earthenware, but the style of workmanship is very much like a bronze sculpture.
Well, you know, there's the famous Han from the excavated in the Shanghai exhibit with the foot on a dove. I mean, you remember that image? It's much earlier than this, so they can do it in bronze. I mean,
You can be sure that bronze came first, and then this clay work for sure, because the way bronze is cast.
yes,
is a lot
exactly.
like this. And you can almost see that cast in two halves. One
Well,
side of the horse cast and they're
the
joined.
pottery is a substitute for bronze because not everyone, I mean, there were sumptuary laws, and not everyone could have bronze images buried or cast. One would have to do a bit more study of that, but do you remember the so-called flying horse from the famous Shanghai exhibit that came to the States? And it had one hoof, and underneath the hoof was a bird, a dove, flying in the air to
Oh,
express
right.
that it was a flying horse. I mean, that was so beautiful that the PRC had reproductions that one could buy if one went to China in those days.
I'll have
Are,
to look
are
at
you
that.
saying that bronze art objects existed before clay
No,
objects?
that's nonsense.
No,
but-
no, no. He's saying that in order to cast the bronze, you have to make it out of clay. You have to have a model of clay, and then
Uh-huh.
you construct the clay mold pieces around it.
I
I'm
see.
talking,
you
I'm
have to-
talking about the style rather than the
Yeah.
craftsmanship. Yes.
Right.
That would be a mistake to say that.
Well, we need another session when we can bring up these but Peo, that's
We
really
don't
nice
always
that
have to talk about Qin, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We kind of go far afield of Chin.
Chin culture.
Well, I did when we visited the or maybe it was on another visit to the Smithsonian, and I visited their chin collection, and they had two chins, I think, that are made Sung Dynasty, maybe made from metal, and I was able to play one of them. That was
How did that feel, John?
it was strange. I mean, it reinforced my feeling that they really, it's shameful that they haven't made recordings of the sound of all of the instruments. For a museum to have an instrument and not record its sound is, to me, shameful. But I mean, you could see why nobody would really play it that way unless they were
You
living
have
in.
to find somebody with the skill that you have
Okay.
to make it sing. And what kind of strings did it have on it, by the way?
Silk. I can't
No.
remember. I think it had them
John.
on it already. I don't think I particularly asked them to put it on.
No, that was done by we have to give a bit of history. The exhibit was in the year 2000, and we paid a visit, and then we went back because I remember I had to organize it and get the session numbers in order for the technicians to get the objects out. But the important visit was made by the Guqin player from the Guqin Palace Museum, who knew Jenny So, who was the curator of the exhibit. And he was the only one who was allowed at that time to handle the objects and to restring them. I don't remember that the metal one was strung with strings, though, John. Maybe you paid another visit.
I did pay another visit. Yes, I think I went there while I was still living in Hong Kong. I was just looking to see whether I had written it down.
Yeah. Under Jenny's aegis and that exhibit, the director was Milo Beach, and he was quite enthusiastic about permitting us to touch the objects. The chin player from the Gugong, everyone knows, his name slips in my mind right now. He's passed away. But-
Zheng Mingzhong, I think.
Yes, exactly. Zheng Mingzhong.
Later years he got he had dementia, I think. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was the year 2000 because Jenny left as a curator, and after Milo Beach, the subsequent directors did not allow anyone to touch the instruments. So it's really been a dead collection. And let's see. I think we could still make an appeal if we want to make a visit. The current director is not a man of objects, but he is anxious to have the collection better known. And the current curator of antiquities is a Princeton classmate, so he's also had an exhibit of the bells, and he's had there's quite a bit of work that's been done on all the types of bronze bells. Keith Wilson is the curator, so we could make a trip by applying to Keith.
I've just been
That
asked
would be
to,
exciting.
Yan Zhongping's book about the collection, the Qin collection. Not Yuan Zhongping, Zhang Yan, Yang Yuanzhong,
Yang Yuanzhang, yes.
his book about 5 years ago.
It doesn't include it's mainly on the Kumulungin and does include all of the other objects.
I believe it includes all of the others.
Oh, well,
and
Teo has just left to get her book.
Okay. I have a copy because I've just been asked to write a review of it.
Good.
And yeah, and so I'm really going to want to visit the museum if I'm going to do that.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Mark, would you oh, Peo, you're showing us some photos, huh?
Right.
Oh, is that Kumulongyin?
Let me just see.
Well, we did invite Yang Yuanzhang to speak. And something happened, he couldn't do it.
Right, his mother.
Yes.
His mother
So,
was sick.
Alan, you could issue another invitation.
Yeah, definitely. That would be that would be great. Oh, Peo, you're trying to share your screen, huh?
No, I just want to get rid of the background so you can see
You want to
what
get rid of the
I
background?
was holding.
Yeah, because it disappears with your background.
Background effect. So, none. Okay.
Oh, there.
Right. So, this is the iron chain. Right. Right. This is the
It's a very awkward shape, too.
iron chain. Right. Yeah, the detail of the iron chain.
Oh,
Very flat.
very flat.
It has string, but I don't think it can be played.
That's the iron one?
That's the iron one. Yes.
That must be the one that I played in 2000. I just looked it up. It was in 2003 that I visited.
And then it's very flat, right? You can play.
Sorry?
The surface is very flat.
It wasn't great for playing.
Yeah, iron has so little resonance.
Do you
Right.
remember what kind of strings it was strung with? Just
What
metal
can you?
strings?
I think no, it must have been silk strings. But aren't those silk strings in that picture?
Yeah, they're very coarse silk strings.
They look
Yes.
coarse, yeah, quite thick.
Let me see.
Okay, Mark, go ahead and you're gonna do a couple announcements.